And then on the 9th, we have Nair Robles. On the 10th, Aisha Raymond. The 16th, Joey Mayberry. The 17th, Mitch Clark. The 23rd, Olivia Vale. 24th, Christara. 29th, which is a Monday, another Monday interview, Celine Gray. On the 30th, we have Sexy Eddie, and then on May 1st, we have Psycho Boy Fado. So yeah, April is already looking up to be a big month for Wrestling Wit, as you could tell from our interviews. And I did forget to mention we also have a special watch along next week as well. We are having our returning guest, Sebastian Seabast Finn, come on the show and watch along his match from the New Japan Dojo against Bateman. And you could check that out on April 5th, I believe. Yes. April 5th, for WrestleMania weekend. You know, we try to do some special things, and sometimes things don't come together, but sometimes things do, and it ends up being an incredible moment for the show. So definitely check that out on Friday. Alright, I think we're done putting ourselves over. No, Scooter?
I'd say so.
Alright, a little bit of interesting news I found this week. NXT Battleground was supposed to be in Georgia on March 26th. Maybe May 26th. I'm getting my days confused here. But that has now been canceled, and it will take place at the UFC arena, the Apex in Las Vegas. I believe June 6th, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Why do you, in your opinion, why such the sudden change with this NXT event?
God, you know, I'm not sure. It's very peculiar. Maybe it's got something to do with competition. I guess they wanted. Was there something scheduled around Savannah at that time?
I'm trying to look up myself, but I don't see anything that would have, that would have made it, jump so drastically from. I mean, I don't have a map in front of me, but Georgia is a long way from Las Vegas.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, it was supposed to be on May 26th. It has moved to June 9th. And will take place at the UFC Apex. It's a venue that holds up to a capacity of 500 people. So maybe not necessarily, they don't necessarily have the most faith in the NXT superstars to draw more than 500, even though they have done pretty sizable and decent numbers on some of their pay previews as of late. Well, at least the last couple of years. Do you think it was just a scheduling conflict, or is there maybe something more in the works here?
No, there's. I'm guessing it's got something to do with I guess Heatwave being the next month? I'm not sure.
Well, keeping on the topic of NXT, Carmello Hayes is scheduled to make a main roster debut after Stand and Deliver for WrestleMania weekend. I was kind of under the impression that he was already on the main roster. He made many of appearances for for Raw and SmackDown. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that it was the most what would be the word interesting debut, but kind of re-debuting him. Is it a good idea, or is it going to kind of fall to the wayside like it did the last time?
Hmm. I mean, I I can't remember if Carmelo was actually drafted, so to speak. But I mean, people are gonna fans are gonna know him. Quite honestly, I mean,
I think they know who he was. He's been on this show quite some time.
yeah, it's again. Oh man, I would assume maybe even. Trick go with him? No.
There was a rumor that when Trek does come to the main roster, they would continue a rivalry.
Okay.
I think it maybe would be the best idea to re-debut him, considering how lackluster his original run was at this point. You know, Carmelo is better as a heel than he is as a face. Um, so, you know, being that cocky heel works for him a lot better than being that, you know, white meat baby face that they tried to present him as. That just kind of fell to the waste, if I'm being honest. Does he go to? He originally was on SmackDown. Does he go back to SmackDown, or is there better room for him on Raw?
Hmm. I would think. Oh God, that's a tough one, isn't it? Considering we just had. And,
I mean, Braun Breaker and Cargill.
is on
Yeah, SmackDown.
SmackDown, so it would make sense for them to go to for Carmelo to be part of Raw.
Unless they want him to join that faction that Bobby Lashley is heading right now, the Ouchie Club or whatever it's called.
God, I forgot. I forgot what he was calling it. Dang.
Proud and powerful?
Was it Proud and Powerful?
No, definitely wasn't proud and powerful. I mean, if they go that route, then it wouldn't necessarily benefit Carmelo all that much, but we'll kind of see where that leads. Um, on the opposite end of the spectrum on Raw, Cody Rhodes bled. It was definitely somewhat of an event. It definitely got people talking. The Rock attacked Cody Rhodes as Raw was going off the air, screaming at him, "Mama Rhodes, Mama Rhodes." Um, he slammed him into his truck that had his dog on it. It was raining, so you know it was dramatic, and Cody bled. It's not something WWE has done a lot in the last maybe 2 decades at this point. So what are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes bleeding on Raw?
If we want to get really technical, he bled while outside of the building. So, this was the most Attitude Era Raw since the Attitude Era ended. I'm kind of pissed at The Rock for faking. It seemed like he was gonna throw Cody over.
Yeah, it did seem that way a couple of times.
And then just no. Throwing somebody into a bus is apparently more effective than throwing them over the side of something
Well,
6 feet above the ground.
Well, I mean, he doesn't want to kill him, Scooter. That would be bad PR.
I mean, I want to know what Rock said to him. I would bet Rock said, "I just crop dusted
I think it was,
you." That drive by.
from what I'm hearing, he told him, "I'm making Black Adam too, bitch."
It's like, why haven't you bought any UFL tickets, Cody? They give us the meme fuel, don't they?
Oh yeah,
They really do.
it was a fine day on Reddit that day. Well, that night, I should say. I find it interesting that we're talking about Cody bleeding on Raw. You know, it's somewhat of an event now, and AEW, John Moxley bleeds every week. That's just Wednesday at this point. So it just shows you how effective sparingly using blood can actually make a moment more significant. And you know, it keeps the risk of airborne diseases at a minimum as well. So that's good, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of me was really surprised to see Rock actually doing the work here.
You mean get physical?
I mean, with stuff involving somebody like The Rock, somebody who's on a pedestal, like The Rock is, getting their hands dirty, so to speak, is, I mean, 9 times out of 10, out of the question.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say he got physical per se. It was more or less him just beating up Cody Rhodes.
I mean, that's why I said 9 times out of 10, there'd be nothing physical whatsoever until the match.
Right.
But, you know, The Rock actually stepping in to, you know, try something to put you know, a stop to the story prematurely it's kind of great storytelling when you look at it. I mean, how many times did The Rock
question. I don't believe they did.
Yeah. Again, the closest they came was the tag team match against Awesome Truth at Survivor Series.
Right.
So this is layered storytelling in terms of what it means for Cody, what it means for The Rock, and what it means for Roman. Cody is able to ruffle The Rock's feathers to such a degree that he actually gets him to attack something he hasn't done in over 20 years, really, when you think about it. Roman, who, for all intents and purposes, is behind it, sending, the famous cousin to do the work to assert his dominance. And again, then for The Rock, who is kind of telling us multiple things. That The Rock might actually be worried, which is why he's doing what he's doing, or that The Rock and Cody are really selling it for Roman.
Like you said, it was a very attitude era, like, Ask Raw. I mean, even the staging area was very different than what we've seen on WWE TV for quite some time.
Yeah, it was a live event screen.
Yeah,
Basically.
I don't think there was any, I heard anything that it was, that, like, the trucks didn't come in or anything like that.
Yeah, there was no, there's no, like, side setup or, a column, setup for the Tron. Just that flat, two-screen setup, which, when you really, like, look at it, I mean, it's effective. It's not overly flashy. It's concise and to the point. It's like that little mini-tron that used to have one solitary logo on it as they entered the ring, and you got lucky if they were able to use it in a storyline to begin with. That 4x4 screen that would load in one screen at a time, like on old game shows and Jeopardy. Less is more.
Right. I agree. It was subtle, but like you said, effective. I liked having the smaller, Tron. Maybe they won't do that all the time because, not every show is going to be, a 20,000 seat sellout. They're getting pretty damn close week to week. I will say that. But when you could sell more of a crowd, and there is a crowd to actually sell, take note of that, AEW. Why not sell them off? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of shows you how effective that Raw was, considering that when was the last time we've talked about a single episode of Raw on this show I want to say ever because we did used to do reviews of Raw, but I mean in a while. Like when was the last time we did that? I certainly don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Well, keeping on Raw and people on it, Drew McIntyre has not signed a contract with WWE right as of this recording, if you believe rumor and innuendo. Um, it does seem like it's only a matter of time rather than if there is a question mark there. No?
Yeah, I I think Drew is already re-signed, and they're just they're trying to
Create buzz.
really milk it, really milk it for all it's worth. I mean, I assume since we're talking McIntyre, part of me wonders about that promo battle between him, Punk, and Rollins from this past Monday, and what we can read into it in terms of, does this show us that Drew is re-signed? Does it show us that Drew doesn't want to re-sign?
I mean, they wouldn't have. The way I look at it is, They wouldn't be promoting a CM Punk Drew McIntyre rivalry if Drew didn't resign. Obviously Punk is not ready to, wrestle yet. But when he is,
I mean,
the program is going to be with McIntyre.
he's gonna, but Punk is the commentary. Punk is gonna be on commentary for the match.
Right. But like what I mean is, when he does actually get in the ring, whenever that may be, the contract comes up after WrestleMania. So you wouldn't be making sorts about antagonizing CM Punk if you wasn't going to have a match at, let's say, a Money in the Bank or a SummerSlam. So it does seem like he's sticking around from that perspective, in my mind.
Yes. If there is anything to Drew not signing, presumably, I'm going to assume that Punk will get back in the ring sooner rather than later.
I mean, considering that he has been on TV a lot lately, then I would say that's an accurate statement.
If you look at the cast that was on his arm this past week, it wasn't a cast; it was a brace.
Right.
And it was. I don't want to exactly call them out on it, but it was a carpal tunnel syndrome brace. It's a brace I use for when I type too much. And yeah, that's Punk is going to be back a lot sooner. And if McIntyre's not re-signing, presumably his last show would be Backlash.
In France.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean that's how it usually goes with popular superstars, unless your name is Brock Lesnar or Goldberg. that would be, you know, if he hasn't resigned, they're going to want all the extra time they can get.
Right. So maybe a contract extension. Drew May get Backlash out of the way, get Punk his W, and get him out. More or less, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're already talking about Raw and what was going on in there. What did you think about that promo between Rollins, McIntyre, and Punk? Because everybody's talking about
Well, first of all, we gotta acknowledge the genetic jackhammer in the room. Punk with that shot about. Well, first of all, the first thing Punk said was a immediate dig at AEW. Like April knows what I'm talking about. Like, yep, yeah, Phil, we all do. And then Punk laying into Drew about being called the Chosen One. Hey, who called you? Who called you the Chosen One? What was his name?
Right.
Because it is now forbidden to say Vince McMahon on WWE television.
Which is insane if you think about it.
This promo was not scripted. It was just outlined.
Right.
It's based in fact a little bit. Again, all great fiction is based in fact. It was. I mean, there was a lot of talking being done on Raw from everyone, and
When's the last time people have talked over each other in a promo? I don't remember.
Unless you're counting, the side promos that, the picture promos. But yeah, all they got was a general outline. And it was an explosive promo because all three men were explosive. The tension was, or rather the intention to make the tension seem uncomfortable was the intention. It's a tongue twister, I can't say that again.
You forgot the little snippet of Punk actually mentioning Jim Cornette as well. The experience and drive-thru, or the names of the podcast Jim Cornette does on a weekly basis. And I also love the fact that they were trying to lead the crowd into wanting Punk to do commentary, and the crowd did not go for it. They were referee. But
because they're thinking like us that Punk is more ready than he lets on.
It would not surprise me if he has trunks underneath his clothes and says, "I'm medically cleared, let's make this a triple threat."
That would definitely make it memorable. Then if you talk about that, you have to kind of talk about what was said about Senior Money in the Bank.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about Senior Money in the Bank. He hasn't even really been in the conversation, has he?
No, and that's a bad thing, and probably going to get worse now considering what Rhea Ripley said. By the way, that Rhea's stink face is now my screensaver, my wallpaper. It's imprinted in the back of my mind.
In the back of your eyelids.
The back of my eyelids. I have it projected in 40,000K on the side of my building. I have it projecting in the sky. You know, it's the ass signal.
Will you stop it?
But the thing that Rhea said that kind of takes the wind out of the sails of Deviant Priest is he made the sentence, he may even decide to cash in on Logan Paul.
When did she say that? Was that like on an interview or something?
This was a few days ago.
Okay, so not like on TV.
No, not on TV.
Well, that is not a good comment on her part.
Here it is. 3 days ago, Rhea Ripley okay, this was actually on Impulsive. This was actually on Logan Paul's podcast.
Okay, well that makes more sense.
So, yeah, it was more of a... I take it as more of a joke if it hadn't happened before.
Well, I mean, it's all context is king, right? And the context was she was on Logan Paul's podcast. You know, obviously Logan is a jawjacker, and she wanted to shut him up. So I could honestly understand where, you know, people might, make assumptions there, but unless it's said on like Raw or SmackDown, I'm not going to necessarily take that into account. And good on Rhea for getting you off your Nia Jax kick. I'll say that.
I'm now gonna have a match with Shayna Baszler, and I guess the winner gets stink faced. It can't be a loser gets a stink face because that's not losing to me.
Well, moving on to everybody's a loser in this situation. Double or Nothing will take place in Las Vegas once again. This time at the MGM Grand. The last 2 years it was at the T-Mobile Arena. 2 years ago, it was sold out with CM Punk and Hangman Page as the headliners. A $1 million gate. Last year, half of the arena was full. The other half was empty, which is, you know, AEW's motto nowadays. Is this a bad sign for AEW to say, hey, we have to go in a significantly smaller building because we're not selling tickets?
I mean, MGM Grand, for those who don't know, that's the Green Hotel you see in Vegas. I've actually stayed there. Uh, Rooms are pretty good. But the MGM Grand is not. Well, it's no longer a pay-per-view worthy venue. And if you've ever seen Ready to Rumble, yeah, that's where the final scene is supposed to take place. With that triple cage match between Jimmy King and Diamond Dallas Page.
One of the greatest matches of all time.
I will rule you.
I'm still waiting for Jimmy King to get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well, he won't go in before David Arquette, that's for sure.
He might as well go before David Arquette. I think people would expect it more at this point.
Jimmy the King Lawler. It, the two prior before the T-Mobile Arena were in the MGM Grand.
Yes, but typically when you go into a bigger arena, you don't go back unless business is not the greatest. In my opinion.
There, this is just essentially a big friggin' mess. Yeah. And again, I attribute this to Tony Khan thinking there's immediate success. And that is the problem. And Eric Bischoff has been saying, what I've been saying this whole time about Tony is that he's not a promoter. He's not a businessman or promoter. He's a rich kid playing promoter.
Oh yeah.
And that is still so much, still so very true.
You know, you want to talk about AEW having a problem? You have Edge and Christian headlining in Toronto, Canada, one of the biggest and best market for pro wrestling, with two guys that are actually from that Providence headlining, and you can't sell it out. How that speaks volumes of where your company is, no?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's the funny part is, if we're really considering, let's say, consider AEW to be WCW, and let's say how long was WCW around in the Monday Night Wars? Roughly 75 to March 2001, which makes it
Could you really even
less than 6 years.
right?
little less than 6 years. AEW's coming up on 5. So,
Forget WCW. How long did TNA last in their Monday Night Wars against WWE?
nobody knows because they they didn't believe TNA to be serious competition at that point. They picked the wrong time to try.
I mean, at least they tried. They had a good roster on there, and they had a bit of a buzz on them. So, if there was any time to pull the trigger, that would be the time. Unfortunately,
That was also the same. It was also the same time when they were kind of doing the Millionaires Club again.
the Millionaires Club.
There was at the end of WCW, you had all the guys with the top paid guys in one stable, the Millionaires Club. That's what they called it. And then in TNA, there were, I forget what the hell they called it.
Main Event Mafia.
Main Event Mafia. Yeah. So, again, this is just, it's getting way, it's pretty soon the bottom is going to fall out from under Tony Khan.
Is it though?
And
Because if you have unlimited money to give, does it really... Are you going to learn your lesson, essentially? You know what I mean?
well, first of all, I would really hope that, there isn't, unlimited money. Simply because if that's the case, then the pro wrestling industry is kind of screwed, because we won't get true competition and another company trying to get on that level and learning from what they do wrong to present themselves as a better option.
Well, I don't think anything is going to become competition for WWE at this point. That just is what it is. But I don't want a wrestling company that competes with WWE. I just want another wrestling company that does well, that just tells good stories and delivers good matches. And because obviously that's how you build a fan base and an audience, and what makes you grow upon what you already have. AEW does not tell good stories. They do not deliver good matches. And it's been quite some time since I've watched one of their events. I've been to AEW Double or Nothing when CM Punk was headlining Hangman Page. I would not make that travel to Las Vegas again to an AEW event, is considering what they have lined up nowadays. And I won't go to AEW. They're going to be that Wednesday in the Kia Forum. I'm not going to that show either. Like, I have no desire to see the people they're offering. I mean, I like Okada, but I've seen Okada. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, they have a problem, to say the least. Um, Not a problem for them, at least, is Jake the Snake Roberts said that he re-signed with AEW for another year, as on-air talent and doing backstage work. What he does backstage, I have no idea. Um, but I'm happy for him that he got another check from the billionaire, and he doesn't necessarily have to do a lot. Um, what say you, Scooter?
Hey, another, re-signing means that Jake is staying around for another year, and he's not getting back into old habits. Um, I think, uh, I think when we lost Scott Hall, uh, that really opened Jake's eyes in terms of, having a contract is great. Having a life, being able to breathe is better. And hell, you know what? I wouldn't mind if Jake was, teaching everybody DDP yoga backstage.
I think he does DDP yoga. I don't necessarily think he.
Did you ever see the, which one was it? Because there were a couple of thing about Jake's recovery under DDP's care.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, I think he does DDP yoga. I don't think he teaches DDP yoga.
DDP yogi.
Yeah, he'll eat DDP yogurt, but maybe, maybe that's DDP's new venture. DDP yoga and yogurt. It tastes like diamonds.
Flavor, the search for more money.
Like I said, I'm happy for Jake. Surfacely, I'd like to see him on TV a little bit more than he has been. Last time I saw him, he was on their last paid preview, the Revolution. And I didn't even know he was still employed there. So,
Yeah, he's still in the corner of Lance Archer.
yep. We see Lance Archer less than we see Brock Lesnar. But, yeah. Happy for Jake. Again, would like to see him a little bit more. If people were smart enough to capitalize on that. But, hey, I'm not a billionaire, so I can't necessarily say it. On our last bit of news, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns, have seemingly finished up with TNA. They don't have contracts as of right now, and as of right now, it doesn't seem like they will be resigning. If you believe rumor and innuendo. This isn't necessarily. Usually I say, oh, well, things are open. We could see where they're going. see what's happening. But if I'm being completely honest, is there any clamoring to see Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley in WWE or AEW or
Well,
literally
uh,
anywhere else that isn't TNA?
well, uh, considering that TNA has really been focusing more on the time splitters than the Motor City Machine Guns. Uh, for those who don't know, time splitters are Alex Shelley and Kushida.
Right.
And I don't know how many people will actually remember the fact that Alex Shelley and Kushida were actually a team in the Dusty Cup 2 years ago.
Well, I mean,
It was Alex.
that was their tag team in New Japan. They were IWGP tag team, junior tag team champions.
Yeah, but being a junior tag team champion is like being, the teenage world heavyweight champion. That's what being a junior world tag team champion is.
Okay, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, I just hate when the word junior comes before a championship.
Right.
It makes it sound less.
So you prefer light heavyweight?
Yes, or even some amalgamation of bantamweight, middleweight, featherweight,
Skinny
open
bitch.
weight, down weight, overweight. Um, ooh, the overweight championship. Ooh,
Your first
somebody come along
champion,
and fight
Eddie
that.
Kingston.
With general manager Scott Steiner.
Because you're fat. You're fat, Joe. You're fat. That's one thing TNA has given us that is fantastic, and that is Scott Steiner promos. Um,
Me.
or Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin maybe finishing up their careers in pro wrestling, or are they just going to be indie darlings for the next 10 to 15 years, or do you see that maybe WWE takes them as coaches at the Performance Center? Because it's definitely not going to be as, full-time wrestlers.
I I could. I see Alex Shelley as a coach. I don't see him as in ring. I see. I could see Chris Sabin being at least given an opportunity, but he's so far along in his career that he probably doesn't even need it now. And the thing is that they won't take somebody from TNA anymore, and immediately put them on TV. They got lucky with AJ and fell flat on their face with Mike Bennett. So,
I mean, I don't even think Mike Bennett was a part of TNA when he debuted for WWE. He was just a Ring of Honor guy.
that Money in the Bank.
Maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, he showed up the same year as AJ. 2016.
But what I'm saying was he a part of TNA before he signed with WWE?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Honestly, that was a time I was not watching TNA, which is most of the time.
Yeah, and they wouldn't. WWE didn't want him coming in under his name, so they gave him Maria's last name. So
Right. And who remembers that time he pinned his pregnant wife to become the 24/7 champion?
teaching Dr. Freud.
That was a great time to reintroduce Dr. Shelby. Oh.
Yeah, the bastard who said he loved every review and then just never said anything else. Terrible therapist. 1 star.
Alright,
I'm pissed off at him.
Scooter is changing his name to Karen. I don't think it necessarily matters what Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin does at this point. It's not going to move the needle. What they really should do is just stay in TNA, maybe become an agent down the line for them. You know, in all honesty, just sit by the blind man and be happy with what you have rather than what you think you can obtain if you go somewhere else.
Maybe smoke a little crack.
Well, Matt Riddle is in New Japan right now, so I don't think.
I said crack, not meth.
I thought he did all of the things.
Matt Riddle does not discriminate against drugs.
And that will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.